I almost quit learning AWS. Not because I was lazy, not because I wasn't smart enough, but because something just wasn't adding up. I was doing everything by the book. I was watching tutorials, diligently taking notes, and following all the recommended learning paths. On paper, it looked like I was the perfect student. I was doing everything right. But every single time I logged into the AWS console, this overwhelming feeling of being lost would wash over me. It felt like standing at the entrance of a massive, endless library with no map. There were just too many services, too many options, and absolutely no clear starting point. It was a sea of acronyms and icons, and I felt like I was drowning. The worst part was that I couldn't see any real progress. I was spending hours every week studying, but it didn't feel like I was moving forward. It felt like I was just spinning my wheels, learning isolated facts that didn't connect to anything bigger. This is exactly where the doubt starts to creep in. That little voice in your head starts to whisper, asking if you're just wasting your time. You begin to question if you're really cut out for this. And then you go online. You see other people on social media and forums talking about advanced topics like serverless architectures and complex networking. They're posting their new certifications, celebrating job offers. It feels like everyone else is sprinting ahead while you're still stuck at the starting line. You start to feel hopelessly behind, convinced that you must have missed some fundamental secret that everyone else knows. That's when I hit my breaking point. That's when I almost stopped learning AWS for good. I just closed the laptop and walked away. But after a few days of not thinking about it, something important clicked into place. I realized that my entire approach was wrong. AWS is not a linear subject. It's not like a math class in school where you learn addition, then subtraction, then multiplication, in a neat, orderly sequence. It's more like a giant web of interconnected tools. Progress in AWS, especially at the beginning, often feels invisible. It's not about ticking off a list of services you've learned. It's about gradual exposure and repetition. The real understanding doesn't come immediately after you watch a tutorial. It comes much later, sometimes weeks or months later, when you're working on something completely different and suddenly a concept you struggled with before just makes sense. It's a series of small aha moments, not a grand revelation. So, I changed my entire approach. I stopped chasing that feeling of completion. I let go of the impossible goal of trying to learn everything. Instead, I picked a handful of core services, maybe just 3 or 4, like EC2, S3, and EM, and I focused only on those. I used them repeatedly, building small, simple projects. I rebuilt the same things over and over again, just to get comfortable. That simple shift made all the difference. It dramatically reduced the confusion, and more importantly, it removed the immense pressure I was putting on myself. The feeling of being overwhelmed started to fade away. I think most people don't quit learning AWS because it's technically impossible. They quit because the learning process feels so directionless and frustrating. It's easy to mistake that feeling of being lost for a lack of ability. So if you're learning AWS right now and you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're not making any progress, please know that feeling is completely normal. It's part of the process. You don't need to finish learning AWS to be making progress. You just need to learn one small thing and then another. Focus on fundamentals, build something tiny, and then do it again. Slow progress is still progress. And honestly, that simple idea is what kept me going.